Hey guys, this is Kevin from JazTime.com. JazTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you want to know the price of the watch, simply click on the links in the description below. If you enjoy our videos, we greatly appreciate it if you would buy a watch from JazTime.com once in a while. Alright, so today we're going to be reviewing the Rolex GMT-Master II. This is the Rootbeer watch nicknamed. This is the model number 126715, and this was recently released in the Bezel World Show of 2018. We'll be going over the dial, bezel, case, crown, bracelet, clasp, and we'll talk about the movement towards the end of the video. Alright, so I'm jumping right into the dial. The dial is just a simple glossy black dial with maxi style hour markers, which are the circular hour markers with rectangular indices for the 6 and 9 o'clock position, triangular for the 12 o'clock position, and of course fashioned in 18 karat Rose Gold. Same can be said about the hands as well. We have the Mercedes styles hour hand and the minute hand, second hand, all fashioned with that 18 karat Rose Gold as well. We do have the additional GMT hand as well, and actually I do apologize, I have the GMT hand blocked behind the minute hand, so let me move that out of the way there for you. There we are. So at the 2 o'clock position you can see the additional additional hour hand, the GMT hand right here with the triangular tip, and that's all luminous for up to 8 hours with a highly legible chroma display with long-lasting blue luminescence. So you have easy visibility during the day and during the night as well. Specifically why this watch is called the Rootbeer, it is a throwback to the older style of the GMT line with the 5-digit numerals 16753, the original Rootbeer, but doesn't quite share the same semblance of that older style with the ability to have a brown style dial. This watch is only available in a black style dial, and there is no nipple style dial or nipple style hour markers as well, where the fashioning of the gold is sort of more than the luminosity in the center of the watch. This one we just have the modern style dial. For the 6 o'clock position, one thing I want to mention is that we have the GMT-Master II name glinted, so that means it has a nice little shine to it in the Rose Gold as well. At the 12 o'clock position, of course, a Rolex name with the crown logo right beneath that 12-hour triangular marker. And then back again at the 6 o'clock position, we have the superlative chronometer officially certified, stating Rolex stating that they have a COSC certified movement that is within Swiss specs, which we'll go over towards the movement section later in the video. Of course, we have the date window at the 3 o'clock position with a Cyclops lens on top of that sapphire crystal, and you can see that little protrusion of it there, and that helps magnify it at a 2.5 magnification, so you have an easier time viewing that date. Moving on to the bezel now. The bezel is certainly one of the highlights of the watch, as we do have the separation of black on the top portion of the bezel and brown on the bottom portion of the dial. The sort of brown portion of the dial is really what makes this watch the Rootbeer watch. As it does have that similar coloration from the previous Rootbeer style. The previous Rootbeer style did instead have a gold half with brown half instead of a black half with a brown half. The brown actually plays very nicely with the light as well. As you can see, if I tilt it towards the light, you kind of see it's sort of like a milky, chocolatey color. It looks very gorgeous. And then when I tilt it down past the light, you kind of see it sort of just turns into this little very dark chocolatey color that sort of meshes into the black portion of the bezel very well. So it plays very beautifully with the light. Of course, obviously you can see the shine as it's very reflective, as it is polished very, very nicely. So the bezel itself is a ceramic bezel. It is a bidirectional bezel, as it is a GMT bezel, not a diver, and this is not a diver's watch, so you can shift the bezel both ways. Of course, the bezel feels absolutely silky smooth, so just be able to adjust either direction. We have the graduations of the 24-hour period all throughout, even Arabic numerals with odd numerals being indicated by the circular dots. The Arabic numerals themselves are coated in the Ever Rose Gold as well, so it keeps that sort of nice contrasting coloration of that the reddish pinkish of the Ever Rose Gold against the black gradient of the dial of the bezel, and it looks absolutely gorgeous together. One small snippet to note is that specifically one of the reasons why they have this sort of half coloration of the black top and the brown top, or brown bottom, is that it actually is an estimate of the day and night cycle. So that's one little interesting snippet there. So you can assume that obviously 18 to the 6 on the top is nighttime, and then the 6 to the 18 would be daytime. The bezel functions itself works with the crown functions in order to show you the GMT, show you different time zones, up to 3 different time zones, by using the adjustment of the bezel and the crown functions. I'll show you those functions as we get to the crown, but I won't go through a detailed step-by-step process on how to set 3 different time zones. You can check out our YouTube channel for those specific that specific video on how to set the 3 different time zones. We're going to be moving on to the case now. The case is a 40 millimeter size in diameter casing. So from my index finger to my thumb here, that's 40 millimeters in diameter. It is a super casing style, which is obviously going to be different from the older vintage style of the GMT. As most modern day sports piece Rolexes do have a super style casing, which is a larger style casing, while still keeping that 40 millimeters in diameter. So it's just a little bit larger. It's a little bit larger on the wrist, but not really that large. One thing I want to mention is that one thing I want to mention about the casing is it's a little bit different from typical sort of half sporty, half dressy watches, where the lugs of the case are typically high polished when the center of the bracelets are also high polished. But for this GMT-Master II, the Rootbeer, we have them in a nice satin finish that really contrasts with the sort of high polishing on the sides of the bezel, and also the crown guards as well are nicely high polished as well. So it's an interesting choice there, but still nonetheless looks absolutely gorgeous front on. As you can see, that the satin finish really helps bring that sort of shine out of the high polish for the watch. So for exact dimensions, as we're still talking about the case here, I actually do have my caliper here with me, so I want to show you the exact sizings here. So we're going to do a side of the case to crown, side of the case to the crown. We're looking at around 44 millimeters in diameter, or 44 millimeters across. And from the thickness of the case, which probably more people are interested about, is the thickness. How high does it sit on the wrist? It doesn't sit too high at all. We're looking at a 12.3 or so. There we are. So let me try that once more. Caliper's not working too well with me right now. All right. Yep, there we are. Around the 12.3 or so. So it doesn't sit too high. It doesn't sit too high off the wrist. Will fit under suit cuffs, dress cuffs very nicely. I want to show you that side of the case again. You can see very beautiful high polish on the side of the casing down to the sides of the bracelet. Keeps that nice shine on the sides. On the other side as well, it's mirrored. You can see the high polish again from the side of the casing down to the sides of the bracelet as well, on the crown guards as well. As we move on to the crown, I do want to mention here for the crown itself, you can see 3 little dots underneath the Rolex logo there. That indicates that this watch has a trip lock, triple waterproofness system, and that is simply unwound counterclockwise as shown. In the center position is where you can wind the watch. About 15 to 20 winds clockwise is all you need to get the watch started once more. Pulling the crown out to the next position will allow you to adjust the date, or not the date, but the hour hand, as this is a GMT watch. And to be able to quickly adjust for those additional time zones, they decided to do a quick hour jump system where the hour hand simply jumps onto each hour marker very quickly, very easily. Of course, 2 revolutions will change the date, 24-hour period. So we're going to do one more there. All right, set it back to around the 10 o'clock position. And the final position here is where we'll be stopping the second hand. We're going to go ahead and stop it right at the 10 o'clock position as well. There we are. See how simple, easy that was, just to stop that second hand, and then you can just adjust the hands bidirectionally to set the time however you like. But specifically, the stopping the seconds hand does allow for precise time setting, such as to an atomic clock online. You can set it down to the exact second. And as you see, as I push the crown back in, the seconds hand will start once more. And you'll always want to screw the crown nice and tight in against the case, as you want to keep your crown nice and protected. Don't want to bump it into anything that's outside of the crown protector area, and it helps give this watch a nice water resistance of the 100 meters or 330 feet. Moving on to the bracelet now. The bracelet is the Oyster style bracelet. You can see it has a nice, beautiful, high polished down the center of the three-piece links, while the outer of the three-piece links are nicely satin finished. Once again, the juxtaposition of these two different polishing styles really help bring the shine out of each other, rather than being just a straight shot of just satin finish. It has this high polish is really mirrored very nicely against that satin finish. As you can see, the patterning of the links does sort of equalize towards the back of the casing. You can kind of see from this link onwards, it sort of has that same sizing, but the first first three links or so are nicely tapered to help keep it a proportional view of the watch. As you can see, as I pull it back towards the back here of my light box, you can see very beautiful proportional viewing of the watch itself. Those links, the first three links, tapered very nicely towards the back, and then on the back you can see very nice parallel of the links back towards the back, as of course if you're looking directly head on your watch, you want it to look that nice proportional view. This was a problem on other sports pieces, specifically the deep sea, which they've actually changed now to sort of help with this proportional view, but it used to be sort of looking like this skinny little bracelet with this large casing, which did not look great. But we have that nice tapering on this watch, and it looks absolutely fantastic. One thing I do want to mention about the bracelet though is that we also have nice gappage between each link. You can kind of see this little gappage between each link, and that really helps with if you have a hairy wrist, then you won't have any hair stuck between the links and then catching and obviously pulling when you're taking off the watch and such. So just minor details. Rolex is all about those little minor details that really make it worth the cost and really pay attention to what helps the consumer. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the clasp now. The clasp is a safety folding Oyster clasp. You can see by the Rolex logo here, the little indentation here is how you open the safety. That sits on top of this folding Oyster here. So you open up that folding portion of the clasp, and you'll see the Rolex name embossed onto this beautiful high polished clasp blade of that Ever Rose Gold. And then we'll show you the back of the clasp as well. You kind of see this GMT-Master II does have the easy style link, which will allow you to adjust the bracelet about 5 millimeters inwards or outwards on the back of the clasp there. So if you're on hot summer days or your wrist does swell up a little bit, you can adjust it for the 5 millimeters and give your wrist a little bit of breathing space. So once again, let me show you that opened up. So completely open up. And once again, I'll close that up. I'll close that together. So folding first, safety on, nice curvature of the clasp itself, so it fits very comfortably underneath the wrist. And then of course, as we move on to the movement, this movement is housed in this simple Oyster case backing with the high polish around the outer edge of it, while it has a nice satin finish at the very top portion of it, as that will be the part that sits on your wrist, and obviously you don't want that sweat to be sort of just accumulating onto that high polish, as it will show much more. One thing I did forget to mention about the Ever Rose Gold, as this whole watch is pretty much Ever Rose Gold. The crown protectors, the case, bracelet, all of it is just Ever Rose Gold. Absolutely gorgeous to work with that brown coloring, as the previous older style Rootbeer used a yellow gold coloration. I believe the Ever Rose Gold actually looks much better, and it's unique in its own way. Of course, both watches have their pros and cons, but the Ever Rose Gold is an in-house made gold by Rolex that they use an assortment of metals, platinum being one of the main metals that they use to keep this rose gold coloring throughout the watch. As other watch brands do make a rose gold or a red gold or extremely red gold, that sort of coloration tends to fade over the years and become sort of a different color than it originally used to be. That mixture of platinum and assorted metals for the Ever Rose Gold for Rolex actually helps keep the keep the coloration of this gold throughout its lifetime. So the gold coloration you see here will be the same 10 years from now, 20 years from now. It will still look absolutely gorgeous and the same coloration. But enough about that, let's go ahead and talk about the movement. So the previous style movement on the GMT-Master II was a 3186 movement, and that movement is now updated to the 3285 movement, which is in this GMT-Master II now. That 3285 movement has made some improvements, as the previous model did have a 50-hour power reserve. We're looking at a 70-hour power reserve on this GMT-Master II, mainly due to different upgrades to the movement. One of them being the addition of the in-house made chronology escapement. And what the chronology escapement is it helps reduce the inertia of the escapement wheel, and it is skeletonized for that reason. Also made out of a nickel phosphorus that pairs with a blue parachrome hairspring to reduce the resistance against actually add resistance against magnetism, so your watch doesn't get magnetized and then runs too quickly and not within the Swiss specs. And that energy efficiency from the chronology escapement actually helped bump that from the 48-hour power reserve or 50-hour power reserve up to the 78-hour power reserve, meaning you could put this watch down on a Friday evening, pick it back up on the Sunday afternoon, and it'll be keeping time just fine. But besides that, the movement itself is still pretty much the same. It's a perpetual mechanical self-winding movement. It has a precision of -2 + 2 seconds a day, which is within the Swiss specs of the COSC specifications. Like I said earlier in the video, at the 6 o'clock position, they boast about it with the superlative chronometer officially certified at the 6 o'clock position there. And one thing that they've also done is that at the very bottom right underneath that rectangular 6 indency, you can see that they've added the Swiss made on the Swiss made at the 6 o'clock position there, but they've added the Rolex crown logo in between that as well, and they started doing that with the newer models that they've updated the movement with. The most recent example I can think of is the 2017 50th anniversary sea dwellers at 43 millimeters, and also the newer updated deep seas as well have that additional crown logo in between the Swiss made to sort of indicate that the movement has been updated. All right, now let me actually go ahead and show you this watch on my wrist now. So we're gonna go ahead and open up that safety folding Oyster clasp. As you can see, very easy to open, very secure. Bam, and there it is. So you can see the dial itself. Just a very basic modern Rolex style dial. Would have loved to see a brown dial with the brown bezel and the ever rose gold. But I mean, Rolex does what they do. So we have the beautiful glossy black dial instead, just a glint of the GMT-Master II, sort of breaking that sort of monotony of the black and sort of helping with that fashioning of the 18-karat yellow gold that sort of glistens on each individual hour marker. That bezel itself is a very unique style bezel. Of course, you can't get this on any other watch. So you can either keep your eye out for a full ever rose gold GMT-Master II Rootbeer or the two-tone version as well. We do have the two-tone version video on our YouTube channel if you want to take a look at that review as well. But that high polish on the bracelet looks absolutely gorgeous. That proportional view from the tapering of the links, even from the bottom portion, just looks absolutely gorgeous. Just enough shine on this watch to make it work, but not overpowering. And that choice of the satin finish on the lugs again really helped with that case. And here's the side profile before we end off this video. So you can see it doesn't really sit too high off the wrist. Will fit under those suit cuffs, dress cuffs very nicely, and that beautiful high polish on the bezel itself on the very outer edges. Just all work together to bring in unison this very unique and gorgeous watch. So if you're interested in this watch or any other watch for the lowest possible price, check out our website, JazTime.com. We have the lowest prices guaranteed. We offer a 1-year warranty. And if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys soon.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at JazTime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.